The stories we tell ourselves about ourselves can impact how we think and feel and how we navigate ourselves through this world on a daily basis. And women especially, the stories of our bodies are told to us from an early age. So it's no wonder that we absorb these stories and take them on board. However, I recently came across some social media posts by Louise Butcher, who's also known as the topless runner. And it made me realise that we do not have to accept the stories that our culture and society has handed down to us. We can change the stories that we've been told or that we've told ourselves about our bodies, and we can reclaim our bodies as the amazing organisms that they are. So in this video I wanted to share the inspirational post that Louise put on her social media, which has inspired this video, and then also go through some questions that I came up with myself and I journaled about them in relation to the story that I've told about a particular part of my body. So my hope is that if you would like to use these questions for yourself, maybe use it as a bit of a journaling exercise or just a bit of reflection to help you think about the stories that you've told about your own body and whether some of those stories might need rewriting. So just to give you a brief overview of Louise Butcher's stories, I'm just reading this from her Breast Cancer Now sponsorship page. She was training for the London Marathon in 2022 when she was diagnosed with lobular breast cancer. She carried on training throughout both of her mastectomies and her radiotherapy. She said that running helped to keep her sane and helped her recovery both mentally and physically. She ran the London Marathon in October 2022, 6 weeks post mastectomy, 3 days post radiotherapy, and she raised £1,300 for her local hospital charity. In April 23 she ran it again, and this time she ran it topless, showing her mastectomy scars to remove the stigma of flat closure surgery, promote body positivity, and to raise awareness of lobular breast cancer. And then she ran again in April 24 and became the first woman in history to run the London Marathon topless. What surprised me a bit about this is that there are people who have said she should cover up and that she shouldn't be running topless, which is interesting because I wonder what the story is behind those comments. What beliefs are people holding that they think that Louise should hide her chest away? So I'm going to read the social media post that inspired me to make this video, and I'll put it up on the screen because I read it and I screenshotted it and I knew I had to make a video about it. So to me, this picture represents a woman. I've lost my breasts because my sex hormone, estrogen, tried to kill me. I have a flabby stomach because I have given life to another twice. I have cesarean scars due to giving birth through the sunroof, but we keep getting back up. Women, we are warriors. We are always evolving. Our beauty lives within our stories, within our bodies, not our superficial, our biological bodies that I am in awe of and always will be. And that makes me feel emotional now even reading it. What an absolutely inspirational woman. And I've got something about people who go through so much, but they dig in and they grit their teeth and it's like they fight their way through it. There's just something for me really inspirational about that. So this gave me the idea of thinking about the stories that we tell our bodies. So Louise, I don't know whether she always had those stories about her body or whether at the beginning maybe the story she told about herself about her mastectomy scars was different. I don't know. I'm not going to guess that. It sounds as though those stories have really empowered her to raise awareness and just be really proud of herself. So like I said at the beginning, I'm going to go through some questions now that I came up with based on Louise's inspirational post that I've journaled for myself, and I will go through my answers to those questions, and I invite you to have a think about these for yourself. Maybe there's some stories that you've been telling yourself about your own body, about certain aspects of your body, that maybe it's time to rewrite them. So I'm going to be reading from my notepad where I journaled. The first question that I came up with is, what particular feature of your body do you want to reflect on? I didn't know what other name to call it other than feature, so we'll go with feature. Just as I don't know, a bit of a warning, I'm going to be talking about my experiences in relation to eating disorders because that is what I ended up reflecting on as part of this. So, I'm not going to talk about calorie amounts or weights or anything like that, but if you find this difficult to hear, maybe switch off. It's absolutely fine. Don't feel you have to listen to it. So the feature of my body that I wanted to reflect on was my stretch marks on my hips. The second question I came up with is, what is the history behind this feature? So if I'm thinking about the history behind my stretch marks, I've had eating disorders for a number of years, so started in my early 20s. I started severely restricting my food intake. I lost a lot of weight very quickly, but eventually, as you would expect, my body started wanting to eat properly. And then I started going through a binge purge cycle with my eating, so my weight would fluctuate. And then I think it was sort of in my mid-20s I made my kind of first attempt at recovery and just started eating. And I think because my body had been depleted for so long, I just kept eating and eating. It's like I couldn't stop eating. I was just eating all the things I deprived myself of, all the nice things, but I put quite a bit of weight on in a short period of time. And psychologically that was really difficult, but at the same time I was determined to make a go of recovery. I did relapse at some point, I can't remember when, but I did relapse after that point. But then I went through another go of recovery a few years later where again I just started eating again, eat whatever I wanted, put on quite a bit of weight quite rapidly. But this time I kind of managed to maintain the psychological aspect and just hang on in there really. And my body actually soon kind of settled back down as my eating settled down, and I think maybe my body and my mind realised that I wasn't restricting anymore. So the next question is, what is a story you have told or that you tell yourself about this feature? So in terms of my stretch marks, I didn't actually notice them for quite a while, but when I did first notice them, I felt really ashamed. I felt they were a symbol of my greediness, the fact that I had, dared to eat and nourish my body. I saw that more as gluttony than actually nourishing my body. I saw it as a lack of control. I'd not been able to control my eating, and therefore the stretch marks were a result of that. And I was aware that a lot of women, when they have children, they get stretch marks. And I thought of it from the point of view, well, I've never had children, so what excuse do I have to have stretch marks? Really, I don't have any excuse. The next question I came up with is, how did this story impact upon you and how you felt about yourself? So like I said, I felt ashamed. I had enough problems trying to be happy or content with my body as it was, and now I had these stretch marks to contend with and the shame that came along with those. I felt like I'd failed. I tried so hard for so long to control my weight, to control my eating, to not give in to my hunger, which sounds absolutely awful, doesn't it? But that's how I saw it. And so the stretch marks were a symbol of my failure. I just felt like I'd let myself down. So the next question I came up with is, has your story about this feature changed over time? If not, what new story could you tell yourself about it? I'll be honest, I've not really thought too much about my stretch marks for quite a while. I don't really look at my body that much, or I haven't done until recently. But when I was going through these questions, I actually did look at my stretch marks, and do you know what? I think they're beautiful. I look at them and I think about I'm getting quite emotional. I think about all the struggles I had with my eating. It was just such a dark time. It really was. I am lucky that I came through it. I know that there are a lot of people who struggle with eating disorders who don't make it. It's a very destructive mental illness. And luckily I did come through it. The stretch marks, I guess, are a symbol of my desire to get through it by having that battle with restricting my food and then eating, and then making the decision to really go for it and just eat. Give my body what it wanted, give my body what it needed. And obviously the result of that was weight gain. But that weight gain has kept me alive, and it's got me through into recovery and into a much better place with food. Yeah, I think they're really quite pretty. They're a part of me. How does this new story make you feel about yourself? It makes me feel proud. When I look at these stretch marks, I don't see them anymore as a symbol of failure. I don't see them as a sign of my gluttony. I see them as a sign that I fought hard to nourish my body and take back control from the eating disorder, from the really destructive thoughts that I used to have about food. My stretch marks now, they have actually shown me how resilient I am, how much I fought to be where I am. I had a really strong desire to win over this eating disorder, to overcome it, to enjoy life, to enjoy nourishing my body, to not avoid going out for meals with people because I feared eating. These stretch marks are a reminder of that journey I took to overcome all of those struggles. I wear them with pride. I don't feel ashamed about them anymore. And so I'd invite you to jot those questions down and have a go at journaling for yourself. Choose a particular feature of your body maybe that you've struggled with. Maybe you have already changed the story around it, but I think it's good to do an exercise like this and really sit and think about it, because when we change, when we rewrite those stories, we can move from a place of shame or failure into one of pride and achievement. And that's the thing, is we don't have to adopt the stories that other people might want us to take on board. Just remember, you don't have to take those stories on board. They're just other people's stories, other people's beliefs. You get to write your story. You get to write what you believe, so that it's helpful to you, to the way you live your life, and to help you move forward. And along that note, if you would like to know more about the power of letting go of other people's expectations and letting go of unhelpful beliefs that no longer serve you, then check out the video that's on the screen. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.